Welcome to the Excel tutorial video for conditional validation list. So I'll start out with the solution that we're trying to get to. So the idea here is that we want to have these drop-down validation lists to be populated based on what we select in the first category, which is, for this example, the food category. And then based on what I select there, we want the actual type of food in that category to reflect that choice that I first had. So if I select fruits, I'll see examples of fruit. And then if I go back and select vegetables instead, then I'll conditionally get a list of vegetables. So next we'll walk into the actual details of setting up this example. Starting from scratch, all we have so far is the two types of lists that we want to look at. So the food categories and the types of food. And so far there is no validation lists that are populated here. So the first thing we need to do, and typically I like to go to a different sheet just to keep the data separate from what we actually want to use functionally. I'll go to a new sheet, and then what I'm actually going to do is insert an Excel table, and I'll explain in a little bit the reason why I like to do it that way. But then we need to designate the different categories we want to have. So one of those would be fruits, and the other one would be vegetables, and then we can go ahead and populate and a couple examples of each of those. Then the next step is we can set up the drop-down validation list for that food category first. And all we have to do is go to Data, Data Validation, and then we're going to make this one a list, and we're going to set that list equal to those food categories that we just set up. If you had multiple columns, more than two, you can extend that out as far as you need. So let's test that out first. Now we can see that we're able to select the two different food categories, fruits and vegetables, but we still don't have any kind of drop-down list for the type of food in those categories. So what we need to do here is to set up named ranges for the two different types of groups, the fruits and the vegetables. So in order to set up a named range, you can see here, right now it's just referring to this as the first cell that I select, but we're going to want to rename this to the name of the category, so fruits. So if you go to Insert, Name, we're going to define the name. Now we've selected Table 2, and we selected the entire fruits column. So we'll go ahead and we'll name that fruits, and then similarly we'll go to the vegetables, and then define the name of that category, vegetables. Now all we need to do is to go back and set up the data validation list based on what the selection is here to populate correctly. So the way we do that is we'll actually use the indirect function, and then we'll select that food category, and then it's evaluating to an error because I currently don't have a selection, so we'll go ahead and move forward with that. So the way this is actually working is it's looking at the selection from cell B1, and depending on what that is, it's looking for a named range that matches that value. So right now it's looking for that named range that matches the value fruits, which is going to be cells A2 through A4. And then we can see that when we go to click that list, it's going to populate with the correct set of types of food, and then you can use that list accordingly. Similarly, if we go back and select vegetables, then it's going to populate with those vegetables. Now the reason I like to put them in tables like this is because it's easily scalable. If I decide to add another column to the right, or if I decide to add another row down to the bottom, I can easily do that. And then since my named range is actually the full column for each of these, it's going to automatically expand to include those new values. You can see here that potatoes included for vegetables, and then strawberries been added for fruits. Thanks for watching, and feel free to reach out in the discussion channel if there's anything else I can help out with.